Now that we've laid down the spiritual cornerstone and the habit cornerstone, and we are actively keeping them firm, we still need to lay down a third important cornerstone, without which keeping consistent, keeping our habits intact, and striving towards attaining that spiritual state, that taqwa, and to keep that cornerstone of spirituality in place, we need to have a strong motivation cornerstone. We need to understand, why are we doing all of this in the first place? And that cornerstone can never be anything other than the purpose of our existence. The purpose of our existence is the most important motivation that we can have. If we understand why we exist in this world, then and only then we can muster up the motivation, or at least the discipline, to continue on this path that we are on. SubhanAllah. So why do we seek this divine knowledge? Because this path essentially is the path of ilm. The path of the Anbiya is the path of ilm. The path of the Prophets is the path of knowledge, right? Divine knowledge, the Quran and the Sunnah. If I give you an example of a father who has children to feed and who has parents to provide for and take care of, and he has many other responsibilities, I can guarantee you that father does not have time to procrastinate or to leave off things. He might not even have the biggest motivation to go to work, but his motivation is his purpose. The purpose is to provide for his family and to safeguard them and protect them. And I can argue that the biggest motivation and the biggest drive for action is the why, behind why we do things, right? So if we can very clearly understand why we are doing this, why we are tiring ourselves with all of this, we could enjoy our lives with as much pleasure as the non-Muslims do. So why do we tire ourselves and pain ourselves on this path? Why do we seek this divine knowledge? Why should we bother seeking divine knowledge? I argue that this is the purpose of your life. So this purpose of your life has aspects which are essentially twofold. You need to seek this divine knowledge, this ilm of the Quran and the Sunnah, for yourself and for the society. As for the self is concerned, you realize that, subhanAllah, the purpose of our creation is nothing but to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, so that they may worship me. I did not create men or jinn except they may worship me. So the worship, the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal, the ibadah of Allah Azza wa Jal, submitting to His will, is the purpose of our life. And that tawheed is the crux of our existence. And if we do not know what Allah wants from us, what does He want us to do and obey Him in? What is the set of actions that He demands of us on a daily basis? And what are our responsibilities in this life? If we don't know that, and Allah is the only one who can tell us that, then we can't fulfill the purpose of our worship, the purpose of our existence. So the very reason why Allah created is so that we may worship Him and know Him. And that cannot be done without asking Allah what He wants from us, and that is done through knowledge. So for the sake of yourself, for the sake of fulfilling the purpose of your individual life on this planet, on this earth, for the sake of the bigger goal of akhirah, you need to educate yourself. You need to take yourselves out of this abyss of ignorance, these shackles of being oblivious of the realities of what awaits us in the next life, right? So the first reason why you seek knowledge is because you want to fulfill the purpose of your life. You want to worship Allah. If you don't seek this knowledge, you can't worship Allah. And if you don't worship Allah Azza wa Jal, you've not fulfilled the commandments of Tawheed. And you can't die as a Muslim if you don't do that. So the biggest motivation that you should have is that you want to save yourselves from the punishment of the hellfire. And that is eternal punishment for those who don't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and worship Him. Worship is the only accepted form of Tawheed. You can't just say, I believe in Allah and not worship Him. You're not a Muslim in that case. A Muslim is someone who believes and worships Allah. And as he worships Allah, he does kufr in everything else. He leaves all forms of other worship, all other forms of unaccepted obedience to the creation over the creation of the obedience to the Creator. So for you to really live this life to the fullest and achieve the fullest from this for the akhirah, you need to seek knowledge for your personal gain, which is yourself. That's the first thing. So you really need to motivate yourself that if you don't do that, you have no other choice. If you don't do this, then you will fail in this life and the next, and you don't want that. No one wants to do that. So you really need to get yourself out of your comfort zones, your couch, everything that holds you back from attaining this purpose. You need to understand that this is your why, the personal why, the self. You need to, as Imam Ahmad used to say, you seek knowledge to remove the garb of ignorance from yourselves, and then to do the same for the society. And this brings us to the next point, the reason why you seek knowledge, the second reason why you seek knowledge, and this is essentially, it goes hand in hand with the first one. Once you've built yourself as a Muslim, the next thing is to build others around you. A Muslim is always beneficial to the creation. A Muslim is someone who is beneficial to the creation. Why? Because he serves Allah, and Allah is the creator of this creation, everything that exists. And Allah, through His servants, creates justice in the world. He creates adl. He spreads peace, and He spreads tawheed through His slaves and His servants. So once we become dutiful servants and slaves of Allah Azza wa Jal, we become truthful to Him, and we become sincere to Him and in His path. Collectively, we will create a society that will establish justice on every single level of our existence, as our communal existence. Right now, around us, there is so much injustice. If I just put the word Muslim to the side, and I just use the word lives, let's assume that Palestinians are not Muslims, Kashmiris are not Muslims, Syrians are not Muslims, the Burmese Muslims are not Muslims, the Uyghurs are not Muslims. Let's assume all of that, and those who were killed in Algeria, Libya, Morocco, millions butchered by the filthy French of the past, and the modern times, and so on and so forth. Let's just assume that they were not Muslims. That is injustice. Even if we don't call them Muslims, even if we remove that term Muslim, because that is of course a very charged term, right? Let's just assume that they're all human beings, and we remove Islam out of the picture. We see that, and we know that it's injustice, and then we bring back Islam into the equation, and we understand that Islam came to remove these kinds of destructive, genocidal practices from the face of this earth. Islam came to establish peace, and this is why the Prophet said, the one who seeks knowledge, the insects inside the stones, the fish at the depth of the oceans, every single thing, they pray for His forgiveness. The angels put their wings under His feet. Why do you think that is? It's because the fish knows that it's not going to inflict injustice on my shores, right? The creation knows that this person, this embodiment of divine knowledge, This is mercy to the creation, because he's the follower of the mercy to humanity, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We follow him, who is known as the mercy to humanity, and he gave us this religion, and this religion, it wiped injustice from the face of this earth, and it will do so again, inshallah, but only if we put our act together. And of course, if we don't do it, Allah will replace us anyway. Allah has His sunnah with things. He will replace it anyway. But so why not join what Allah wills for the Ummah to do, and be part of the Ta'ifa Mansura, the saved group, right? Who are the ulama of haqq, as Imam Bukhari says, they are ulama al-haqq. That's who they are, and they are the ones who fight for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? They are the ones who are Ta'ifa Mansura. That's the only saved group from the group of Muslims, subhanallah. And we want to be from that, right? So we want to be beneficial for the society that we live in. And subhanAllah, this is such a big motivation that you don't have a choice. Your brothers and sisters are dying right, left and center, everywhere. And it's going to come to you. It's only a matter of time, unless you put your act together. So you stand up, you seek this ilm, and your motivation is to fulfill the purpose of your life, personal or global. Both are aspects of the purpose of your life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you for. Your creation is to serve Him, and that's His service includes uplifting yourself, removing ignorance from yourselves and the rest of society. So the law of Allah, the justice of Allah is established on the face of this earth. So let's inshallah prepare ourselves based on these three cornerstones that we've studied. Let's build ourselves based on these three cornerstones and hold fast upon them, fast to them. Have strong enough motivation, remind ourselves of our motivations and our whys, so that we don't become ignorant and don't become negligent of our duties. And then we build ourselves through our consistent and diligent actions in taqwa, so that, subhanAllah, we can fulfill what we are made for. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use us for the service of his deen like He has never used any of His slaves before, even the A'imma. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely that He makes us servants of His deen and use us in a khidmah that is far greater than anyone else that He has ever used for. A khidmah that is of a nature that has never been done before. And perhaps it is that, inshallah, through this movement that we're leading, Allah will revive Islam in all of its forms. It's not just going to be a movement to revive hadith literature like Shaykh Albani did, or fiqh, or tafsir, and so on and so forth. No, every aspect of Islam will be revived, inshallah, if only we prepare ourselves for that, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala.